Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina wa habibina wa syafi'ina wa nuri qulubina wa qurrati a'yunina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa salim. Wa nata'allama wa ta'alim wa tadhakkura wa tadhkir wa naf'a wal intifa' wal ifada wal istifada wal hasa ala tamassuki bi kitabillahi wa sunnati rasulih sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam wa du'a ila al-huda wa dalalah ala khair ibtigha'a wajhillah wa mardatihi wa qurbihi wa thawabihi subhanahu wa ta'ala ma'a lutfin wa afiyatin birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-'ilma ladunni wa mashraba safi al-hani ya wahhab ya ghani. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-'ilma ladunni wa mashraba safi al-hani ya wahhab ya ghani. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-'ilma ladunni wa mashraba safi al-hani ya wahhab ya ghani. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amin. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Do you all know if your fiqh is next week or the following week? Do you all know? Anyone knows? When is your fiqh? No clue. They were released. We also have no clue. So I don't know. I haven't done my exam paper yet. So I'll do it by this week. I'll do it by this week, inshallah. So, but then I think for our exams, we just cover till the end of the shurut of salat. Okay. So all the shurut, inshallah. So until the makruhat salat is not in the exam. So up till the end of shurut of the salat is in the exam, inshallah. Okay. Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So continuing from the last lesson, I think you all is the following week now. Because as far as I know, Ustaz said follow the mid-year arrangement, is it? Correct. He said they are here Ustaz saying that on the group. He said something to that extent, kan? Follow the mid-year timetable. Kan? Do you all remember? Yeah. If I'm not wrong, he said... You never say anything to you all. Does he teach you all, Ustaz?
No.
Ustaz, I don't know, right? I think it was on the year 2. The year 2, if I'm not wrong, he said follow the sequence of papers will follow the same as the mid-year. So mid-year, korang, mid-year year 3 Mid-year, the first week you had Mustalah Hadith and Arab. And then the second week is Muqaddimah and Arba'in Nawawi. So that means Muqaddimah second week lah. Okay, so you all second week Okay, so you follow your mid-year, on the year 2 group, he said to them, follow mid-year scheduling. So the first week is Mustalah and Arab. Do you all still have Mustalah? Or are you still have Mustalah? Belum habis That means Mustalah and Arab next week. And then the following week is Online. As far as I know, online. No one told me anything about on-site. But I made all the exams on Google Quiz already. So anything, even you go on-site, also I give it to you on Google Quiz. It's not going to be on Google Quiz, so you'll just automated marking. Senang. Inshallah. Okay, continue As far as I know, it's online. He did say macam small classes not on-site, but I don't think he confirmed anything lah. So I think it's all online. You all small class Kalau small classes, that means you all kena. You all the small class. You know. Alright, so it's not obligatory to cover the aurat as seen from underneath. Right, so meaning underneath the person. Right, so if you're on a glass floor, right, from underneath. Right, but from the side and from the top. Okay, right. So so in this situation, like for example, if someone were to have like a loose telekong, and then they were to pin here with a safety pin, right? So you know how it will go if you do it that way, right? That there'll be a gap there, right? So this is the person's face, right? And they were to put on their telekong like this. So it's loose around their it's loose around their chin, like that. So they bring it together and they pin it together with a safety pin. right, technically, right, this gap here, right, can see her neck. So it's exposed from the side, right? So that one will cause for her aurat to be exposed, right? Similarly, if someone's wearing a button down shirt like that, right? If this is exposed from the side, okay, from the side. Similarly, if someone's having loose sleeves, okay, if you have loose sleeves, even if your hand comes out here, you have loose sleeves, right? Technically, your aurat can be seen from the loose end of the sleeve. It's your sleeve. Okay, so if you're wearing loose sleeves and you want to pray, then wrap the sleeves around your. So for example, if it's loose sleeves, wrap around, make it tight. Okay, so that it will not dangle like that. Okay. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. And then I mentioned last week also, if you're wearing the half tadakong, make sure you're having long sleeves underneath, right? Because when you ruku and you sujood, right, from the side you can see your arm. The arm is visible, right? So wear sleeves on the underneath of it. Okay, hope everyone is clear. For men also, right? For men, one thing that a lot of men are negligent about is their shirt collar. Right, their shirt collar is basically exposure from the top, right? So when they ruku, right, and their shirt dangles, if their sarung or their pants is worn below their belly button, that means now they have just exposed their belly button, right? So if a man like is praying like this, correct? So if his shirt if his sleeves, if his collar is loose, right, loose collar, right? So if he's wearing his sarung up to here, and then maybe his belly is here, so the belly button is here, right? So even if he wears a shirt and over it, technically like that, over it, he wears a shirt over it, and he's praying, right? There can be an exposure from here. There's also technically an exposure from here. This is not counted as underneath; it's counted as from the side, right? From the side, he needs to pull up his kain over the pusat. Okay, the guy must put up because if you ruko, say if you ruko, right? If you ruko, this is the man's. Is there a cat meowing outside? Okay, hear my cat crying somewhere. Khalil bathing the cat. Allah. Right, so right, so then it's exposed through the collar, right? So if his stomach is above the pusat, the belly button is here. And then the sarung is like that. You see that? So there are men who are not careful about this, negligent about this. They think that they have covered their aurat enough. No, they need to pull their sarung above the pusat, above the belly button, right? Then their aurat is completely covered. Okay, he may cover his aura with his hands, right? I'm not so sure how he's going to do that. But basically, maybe I don't know how would someone do that. I wonder. I mean, for a woman, it'd be very unless you have like a small tear, I don't know, on your shirt, and so that means your entire prayer, you're going to just cover that tear the whole time. It's gonna be hard. Like how you gonna sujud? Hard kan? Like I mean, think about it. How are you gonna sujud? You have to be on the floor. So I don't know how this is possible, but you can. If you're able to, you can. maybe if your arm, I know. Maybe your armpit has a tear. Okay, so you cup it, like you press with your arm on your armpit there, and you pray like this. Can you can technically do all the actions, right? You can do ruku, you can do sujud, you can stand somehow or other, and not extend your hand, like use your leg muscles and stand up. And you keep your hands tucked, in that way because your armpit has a big gaping hole. I don't know, right? If you can. So you're using part of your body to cover part of your body, like that. Permissible. You can do that if you can lah. When he has found something which is sufficient. فإن وجد ما يكفي سوأتيه تعين لهما أو أحدهما فيقدم قبله. So if someone has not enough clothing, Okay, if someone has not enough clothing, right, to cover himself, and he found something, right, that is just enough to cover his privates, and private specifically the private parts. In Arabic, we say sawata. Sawata, it means private parts specifically, not aurat, not aurat, but private parts specifically. So if you have enough to just cover private parts, then you must always prioritize the private parts, of course, right? If you only have enough to cover one of the two private parts, Allahu Alam, maybe someone who caught in a fire, everything burned, na'uzubillah, right? But it's possible, or someone very poor, right, unable to have any clothing whatsoever, right? So only enough to cover one of the two private parts, then cover the one that is in front. The front private part is more dire, right, to be covered than the back private part. Okay. He should surround his shirt, tighten his middle waist. Aura might be seen during bowing and other acts I mentioned earlier on. Okay, so make sure that his surround his shirt, meaning he should wrap his shirt. وَيَزُرُّ قَمِيصَهُ. That means wrap his shirt around him. Okay, so not to have buttonholes. Right, but it's a shirt that encompasses the entire body, with no buttonholes. So a shirt that you wear from the top lah, in a sense. Right, so for men, especially if they have they're not wearing like a singlet underneath, or not wearing a something, and then they have all these buttonholes. Right, so if they don't pull their pants up above their belly button, right, then their aura is being exposed. For women, even more. And for women, just to mention that, sometimes our girls, so in secondary school, in JC, they wear those blouses for school, and they don't wear an inner. Right? I mean, get our girls to wear inners. It's good to always have an inner, an inner shirt, or an inner, even like a singlet on the inside. But I would say t-shirt is better. Wear an inner t-shirt, because those buttons are loose. They're loose buttons. So many times, if you go on the bus, on the MRT, right, and then like a girl who's in her teenage years, and then like you can see right into her underwear, right, on her badan, on her body, because she's just wearing her inner underwear, right, because of the buttons. So be very careful about it. Right? So teach our girls always, if you have a daughter going into primary school, I think if I had a daughter, I would start from primary 1 already. Get them used to it. Wear a t-shirt under your uniform, because the uniform also very thin materials. Right? So get them like a set of white t-shirts, right, to wear underneath their uniform. It can get hot, but get them used to it from primary 1, so they don't feel hot about it. Inshallah. Right, so as they go into secondary school, to JC, it's more covered. It's more appropriate, right, for them to wear in that way. All right. Okay. So tighten the middle where the aurat might be seen during bowing and other acts. Right. For women, tighten where your sleeves are. Okay, for women, I would highly recommend to just wear the long Yemeni one that I'm wearing right now, right, from head to toe. I wear that one. I think I don't know. I find the easiest one to wear. The two-piece one, like, if you ever step on the kain fall, then you cannot stand up. Then like get all distracted by your prayer garment. If you wear the full one, I just think it's so much easier to just wear that one. Ever since I moved to I wore the Yemeni one, I never look back at the Malay to the Kong. Because unless you jatuh, right, the kain keeps falling from you, unless you tie it very tightly around your waist to try and keep it up. I had to wear long sleeves after that. Right, I still wear the Yemeni one. Okay, 9th condition, facing the Qibla, except performing prayer in extreme fear. So this is Satul Khawf, which inshallah we will get into. Satul Khawf, it is done during battle. Right? It's done during battle, or it's also done when someone's life is at stake. Like, for example, if you're being pursued by a murderer, right? For example, right? And you have to be on the run. You're on the run. If that ever happens to a person, right? Then they can pray on the run. Right? They can pray while they are running. Right, so same, but which tell us also that you must pray no matter what. Even if you're being pursued by a murderer, you must pray. Right, prayer is never left, ever. Subhanallah. Right, the other part of Satul Khawf is about praying in Jama'ah while in jihad. which tells us the importance of praying in Jama'ah. Because technically you can all pray by themselves, right? But this entire fiqh of the prayer of fear, because to preserve Jama'ah prayer while in jihad. Subhanallah. Right, so but I'll go into it when we get there, inshallah. So it is wajib to face the Qibla except when you're performing the prayer of extreme fear, meaning you're on a run, right? And also when praying sunnah prayers while you are traveling. Alright, so while you're traveling, you just face wherever the vehicle is facing. If you're praying sunnah prayers while traveling. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay. And also, right, so while you are so for wajib prayers, right, it's wajib for you to face the Qibla when you are praying wajib prayers. So if you're on the aeroplane, right, or if you're on a ship, if the Qibla is always changing, right, like on a ferry or on an aeroplane, right, because the airplane moves and the airplane changes the direction, so the Qibla is always changing. So the scholars say that at the point of beginning the prayer, you should be able to determine where is the Qibla and pray, stand up and pray, right, and determine the Qibla. It's hard for you to figure out if the Qibla changed while you are praying, and you won't know if the airplane is going straight or the airplane turned left, right? You will be able to tell where's the airplane going, right? Usually you can't tell, right? So usually what they will do is that when they get on the land, they'll pray again, the qada, and because of the possibility of you not having faced the Qibla while on the aeroplane, they'll call out the prayers when they're on land. Unless you're very sure that you're on a straight route and not going to turn in any way, right? Then you can be firm lah and confident about your prayer being valid. When a person is on his bed or he's on a ship, he should complete his bowing and prostration and he should face the Qibla, right? So if he's on his bed, right, and he's on his marqad, means a place where he's lying down, right, or his safina, right, on a ship, he should do his sujud, his ruku and his sujud, right? Meaning that if he's lying down and he's trying to pray, he can get up and he's able to get up, he should get up and perform the ruku and the sujud. Nothing. And he get up and should perform the ruku and the sujud. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay. On a ship as well also, he should do the ruku and the sujud. Of course, because it didn't mention about plane. Plane falls under ship. Okay, plane falls under kapal terbang, right? Kapal terbang. So it falls under ship, right? It's a kapal that terbang, right? But it falls under ship. Right? So basically, you can stand. You can stand in these vehicles. Right? So train, same thing also. Train, plane, ship, all same story. You have to stand and perform the prayer and face the Qibla. Train is even more difficult, I think, because train. Anyone ever been like on a I'm not talking about MRT. I'm talking about like a long haul train ride, like from for example from Singapore. If you were to train do they have a train all the way? I know in Western countries they have. Like in Western countries they've like train across the country, and you can be like a few hours on train. And I was in Sweden, yeah, you could go for a good 10 hours on train just to get to another part of Sweden, and so that means you have prayers to perform, right? Because the train is all contained. It's self-contained, and the train is self-contained, right? So technically, you don't have to get off the train at all. And you don't actually get off the train until you reach your destination, right? And they have like cabins and everything in the train. And you can actually, it's like it's comfortable, right? To eat and to sleep and to do all kinds of things in the train, right? So technically, your prayer is also in the train. So that one is, if you know the train is going on a straight road, and then you can do your prayers lah, right? But if the train is going to turn, then your Qibla is all over the place, Like if you know the train is going to make sharp turns here and there, right? Then that's why the scholars will say, if you're on a vehicle that is continuously moving and you have to pray wajib prayers, you pray the best you can. Then once you're on firm ground, unmoving, then you pray the prayers again. You qada all the prayers that you did on a plane, on a ship, and on a train. If you need to lah, right? Because in the past they used to stay on the ship for 6 months. Like when they go from Singapore to Hajj, they will stay on the ship for a few months. You don't want to qada all their salah on the ship. Wa mashallah, hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Unless you on the plane, the most you take is like the furthest you go to America lah, 13 hours kan flight. Around there. It's half a day, right, I think. Or 20-hour flight, 20-hour flight. Okay, maybe a full day. So it is 5 prayers qada. Not so bad. Right, qada for 24 hours of flight. I mean, if you want to do qada lah. Ships of the past, right, they will stay on at sail, right, for a good 6 months. Right, so usually they will you have to be ensure lah which way are you going and where's the qiblat. And make sure you when you pray with firm conviction where is the qibla. I think now if you were to go on ships, right, whereby you need to pray on the ship, high chances you're on a cruise. Like, we don't actually go, I mean, for a ferry, everything all, you're not going to be there for a long time. I maybe like half an hour, maybe an hour at max, right? You won't sit there for hours on end, unless you're on a cruise. Right? So then the cruise, you have to constantly check the qiblat. Every prayer, every waqtu, you're going to check the qiblat. Right? So, and then you pray according to the qiblat. Every waqtu must check. If now like, you're staycation on a cruise, so all the staycationings on the cruises. So you can make sure you do your qiblat checking. Now, okay, now, so when a person is not on his bed and is not on a ship, and when he's traveling, he should face the qibla during opening takbir only if it is easy for him, right? That is for the one who is doing his sunnah prayers, right? He's opening takbir. This should the entire thing, فالشروط التاسع الاستقبال القبلة إلا في صلاة شدة الخوف وإلا في نفل سفر المباح. Right, so you must face the qibla through the prayer, except for 2 situations: prayer in extreme fear and prayer when you are on permissible travel. فإن كان في مرقد أو في سفينة أتم ركوعه وسجوده واستقبل, and he should face the qibla. So if he's lying down on his bed, right, on a ship, he should complete his bowing and prostration for the sunnah prayers. We're talking about sunnah prayers still. Right, for sunnah prayer still you should do it in this way. وإن لم يكن في مركد ولا في السفينة فإن كان راكبا استقبال في إحرامه فقط أن سهل عليه. Still talking about sunnah prayers. This whole thing is talking about sunnah prayers. So the whole thing about sunnah prayers is that if you're not on a bed or on a ship, right, but you're on a vehicle, then at the point of takbir ihram to face the qibla, if it's easy for you, for sunnah prayers. For sunnah prayers. Right? For wajib prayers, the entire prayer needs to be facing the qibla. وَطَرِيقُهُ قِبْلَتُهُ فِي بَاقِي صَلَاتِهِ. The direction of his path will be his qibla during the remaining of time of his prayer. Again, sunnah prayers. Only for sunnah prayers. وَيُومِئُ رَاكِبُ بِرُكُوعِهِ وَسُجُودِهِ أَكْثَرُ. Right, and it's obligatory for the rider of a vehicle to bend down during bowing and prostration, and to bend more for prostration is you should bend more for prostration is necessary. Right, so if you're praying in a car, like for example, you're on a straight road to KL, for example, and you want to pray sunnah prayers, right? No problem, just pray in the car. Right, so when you ruku, you bend a little bit. And when you sujood, you bend even more closer to your knees. Okay, so your bend is more for sujood than it is for ruku'. All of this again for sunat prayers. All sunat prayers. Fardu prayer, understood, the whole prayer has to be standing as far as you can. And in the whole prayer must face the qibla. Okay, when a person travels on foot, it is obligatory for him to face the qibla during. So again, sunnah, the whole talk here is all sunnah prayers. It's obligatory for him to face the qibla during the opening takbir, for ruku' and for sujood, and for sitting between 2 sujoods. So how this happen? If someone is walking on a long path, right? So he's going on a long path, long journey. He's walking. And this is this. This is path, and he wants to pray sunnah. This is the people in the path, people in the past. Like when they journey, like they can journey for the entire day. They can be walking from morning sampai sampai evening, just walking. That's how people last time they journey. they don't actually sit on anywhere. They're just walking the entire time. So while walking, they want to pray lah. might as well, right? Might as well pray while walking. I don't want to pray a sunnah prayer while they are walking. So for example, they're walking in midday, you want to pray duha prayer. And since they're walking and they want to pray duha prayer, they want to read long surahs in their prayer. They get pahala for it, they get reward for it. So what should they do? Basically, find the Qibla. Right? Allah Akbar, takbir, facing the Qibla. Okay? So now turn to the direction of your travel and continue walking. So reading Fatiha and the surah, all that, while walking in whichever direction you want to walk. So after this person has finished reading all they want to read. So usually this kind of sunnah prayers, the standing is very long. Right? Because they want to make use of the time fully. Right? So by the time they have finished reading all they want to read, now it's time to ruku'. They face Qibla again and they ruku'. Okay? Then the i'tidal, right? I'tidal can't hold for long anyway, right? So you then i'tidal and then the sujud. Sujud also must face the Qibla. Sujud, they sit back up, they sujud, all facing the Qibla, they stand back up, they face their travel and they walk some more. Okay, they walk some more, Fatiha, Surah, read 1 juz, read 2 juz, 4 juz, whatever they want to read, they can read. Then they want to ruku' again, face the Qibla again, wherever is the Qibla, ruku', i'tidal, sujud, sit down, sujud, okay? And then if they want to do the at-tahiyya, do the at-tahiyya, and then they can do the salams after that. Alright, so basically the whole point of walking and praying is at the standing part. And it can be very long. Okay. All right. The tahiyya part, they don't actually have to sit if you don't want to, but usually you will just sit because you want to give salams. Because then you're going to get up and walk again. And then when you want to salam, you sit down and you salams. Right. So best you just finish your tahiyya. So the part whereby they will do the walking is the standing part. The one who performs prayer in the Kaaba faces away from its structure to the direction of a fixed place where its size is approximately 2.5 arm span, then his prayer is valid. Right, so man salla fi Kaaba wastaqbala min bina'iha shakhisan, and if fil Kaaba, that means somebody who is praying inside the Kaaba. They've gone inside the Kaaba and they're praying. So what should they face? They should face a structure, right? Anywhere in the Kaaba, right, of a fixed place in the Kaaba, and this structure is the height of 2.5 arm span. So your arm span 2.5. It's a short structure, like about the size of a normal like 1.5 liter bottle. Right, so if you're inside the Kaaba, you find yourself in the Kaaba, you're wondering, where's the Qibla now? I'm inside the Kaaba. Right, so where do I face? Face it to any pillar. Can already. Just get a pillar and just face the pillar. Right, you're done. Okay, so you don't actually have to wonder what do I do now in the Kaaba? Okay, if someone is able to see the Kaaba for himself, he cannot follow the opinion of others in the Kaaba. Okay, if you can see the Kaaba in front of you, and I'm saying physically see it, not spiritually see it. There are people who can spiritually see Kaaba. When they pray, can see Kaaba in front of them. No, you need to be able to physically see the Kaaba in front of you. Then your Qibla is the Kaaba. If somebody says, no, Qibla that way, I can see the Kaaba right here. The Kaaba's here. And you pray the Kaaba for that. If you're able to see Kaaba for himself, you can open others' opinion. If you're unable to see the Kaaba, it's obligatory to take the opinion of a knowledgeable, trusted person. Right? So, in determining where is the Qibla. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay. Okay, so in facing the Qibla, there are levels. The first one is that you yourself figured out the Qibla, the Qibla yourself. Right, so either you see the Kaaba yourself, right, or you determine with other means where is the Qibla, or someone trustworthy tells you, or you use the signs that are around you, like for example the sun or the stars. If you know how to tell from all these things, where is the Qibla, or you just follow people. Wherever they say there's a Qibla, you just follow them and you pray in that way. Most of us, we just follow. They tell us Qibla is this way, follow lah. And when you pray that way, we pray that way also. So you don't actually find out yourself where is the Qibla. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Okay. So if you're not able to tell the where's the Qibla, then you need to use ijtihad with some proofs, right? Using, for example, the sun or the stars, right? If you know about the winds, you can use the winds. If you have knowledge of winds, right? But otherwise, you're just gonna give a good guess lah. So you're like, okay, I'm here in Singapore. Mecca is down which side? And Mecca is towards the west. West. Is it northwest or southwest? Don't know also, right? Where is Mecca? Thinking. Okay, I think it's somewhere. Mecca is below the equator or above the equator? You don't know, right? Is Mecca below the equator, is it, Mecca? Is Mecca below the equator or above the equator? Whenever the aeroplane flies on the screen, aeroplane go which way? But you just know that it is 80 degrees, right, from Singapore side, right? At the number 8, correct? You use the compass. But if let's say you have no compass, your phone is dead, and all you have is the sun, how are you going to figure out the Qibla? Okay, the sun, because Singapore is equator, our sun more or less rises almost exactly east. Almost, because we're on the equator, right? Not everywhere in the world the sun will rise in the east. The sun changes depending on what part of the world you're in. You can rise northeast or southeast, but not exactly true east. Right? Only if you're on the equator, it will rise exactly true east. So Singapore is a bit off, right? But still, east to the west. So if the sun is now on the east side, it's still in the morning. The shadow is pointing to the west. Mecca is to the west, but Mecca is, I think, southwest. Go and check homework. Go and check. Where is Mecca? Southwest or northwest? Then you give a good guess. So if the shadow is pointing west, that means south is here. That means the Mecca is around here, right? This way. This ijtihad lah, basically ijtihad. Figuring it out yourself, because you can't always depend on your phone. If your phone die, then what are you gonna do? And then you have no compass because the whole time you've been depending on phone. The phone died. Or the phone got lost, got stolen. Then you have no clue where's the Qibla. Inshallah. May Allah help us. So need to learn a bit lah about how to do ijtihad and figure out where's the Qibla. Usually I'll use this for plane flights. Right? So flights, I will from the map on the aeroplane. Where's the aeroplane and where is Mecca? Right? So, and some aeroplanes they'll put a small Kaaba icon. Right? If they show the full aeroplane display, there's a small Kaaba icon to show you where is Qibla. So you follow that one. That is only if you're on an Islamic airline lah. Right? If you're on a normal airline, they won't have the Kaaba anywhere. Right? So you from the map itself, you're gonna figure out where's your airplane going and where is the Kaaba. Right? Where is Mecca? So you're gonna Mecca is behind. Right? So that means you're gonna face back. Right? But according to the map on the display. Again, it's all ijtihad. It's all ijtihad. If you feel that you're gonna just do the best you can, then later on for me, I will always qada. Because I always feel was about it. So I always qada later on. Inshallah. Right, so if a person who makes ijtihad feels uncertain, this is basically me lah. Right, so if anyone who makes ijtihad feels uncertain, he may pray however he wishes, or the best of his ability, then he should make up for the prayer. Right, because you try your best and you're like, I still don't know lah. Right, and then you just go and it's obligatory for you to do ijtihad for every single prayer to figure out where is the Qibla, as well as for prayer times. Okay. So when he is certain of making a mistake during or after the prayer, he should repeat his prayer. When his ijtihad changes, he should act on his second ijtihad. In the matter of Qibla that he is facing, there is no makeup for the first prayer that he did. Right, so each prayer he needs to figure out where is the Qibla. Every single prayer he must figure out where is the Qibla. Alright, so even if later on he changes his mind about the Qibla, it's okay about the first one. But again, if he wants to qada, qada lah. If he wants to qada. Okay, alhamdulillah. We come to the 10th condition, right, on for the prayer. Then there are like up to 15 conditions, which a bit more, wait for a few more minutes. Let me just read through. The 10th condition is to leave speech. Therefore, the prayer of a person is considered invalid when he says two letters or one letter with meaning, or lengthening even though for clearing the throats, or with compulsion, or laughter, or crying, or moaning, or blowing the nose or mouth on purpose. Right. So if he does do a letter like he says qay, right, or he says ayn. Right. Ayn in Arabic means understand. Qay in Arabic means careful. So I have no idea these things mean anything. Right, so it's talking about letters, Arabic letters. So if you go like that, oh, you did ha, alif, 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 alif. Right, there is a few letters in one go. Your prayer, you cannot make sounds in your prayer. So even if it's on purpose, clearing the throat. So for example, you're praying, you go right, on purpose you're doing it, not forgetfully, right, nor absent-mindedly, right, but on purpose you go right, it nullifies your prayer. Nullifies your prayer. You cannot clear your throat unless you can't recite Surah Fatiha with your throat stuck. Right, so if you can't do a wajib, because your throat is stuck, then you're allowed to clear your throat enough to allow for you to recite Surah Fatiha. Right, but if otherwise you're not to clear your throat, it's leave it like gatal pun gatal lah. But you just let your throat be. If your throat is itchy, let your throat be. Right. Same thing with laughing or crying. Crying with sound. If you're weeping, it's okay. But if you go like that, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Right. Again, with sneezing, also try to stifle it. Try your best to stifle it as far as you can. So if let's say someone goes achoo like that, that's like a loud sound with a lot of letters in there. Right? So if you go like that, that's okay. You go kind of small sneezes, but you don't unless you're very sick and you're unable to control. So the one who is overcome, right, by her sneezing, right, or by coughing, and it's not in their control, then of course that one is forgiven. Right? But what is in your control, you should control. Right? So even if it's coughing and it's not in your control, you are forced into it, then that's okay. But however, if it's in your control and you do a loud one, you go achoo like that, you do a loud sound, right? Then that one will nullify your prayer and batal your prayer. Is excused in little speech done accidentally or due to forgetfulness. Little speech is equals to 4 to 6 words in Arabic. 4 to 6 words in Arabic. Right? So what is forgetful speech or accidental speech? Is that, for example, someone thinks they have finished the prayer but they have not finished, then they salam with the imam. So for example, someone came to the prayer masbuq. Right? So the imam goes, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So this guy, he's in his third raka'at, he's not done for his fourth raka'at, he forgot that he masbuq. The imam finished 4, he finished 3. So after the imam does his salams, you go, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Then someone says to him, you only done 3. Go and get out to do a 4th one. So that salams is null. Is forgetful speech. So you can just continue and pray 1 more rak'at. No problem. Okay, continue and pray 1 more rak'at. So forgetful speech, 4 to 6 words is little. More than 6 words cannot. 4 to 6 words. Or due to his ignorance of his prohibition, or he's new to Islam, or when a person is living far away from scholars, or when he is overcome by أو حصل بغلبة ضحك أو غيره. Right, so he's excused if he is even overcome by laughter. Also, actually, it will nullify your prayer if it's too much noise. But if let's say overcome, if you're taken over by sneezing and coughing, and there's even more you can't handle, or you can't control, then that one is excused. They're all excused. Only when you do it on purpose, right, then it is not excused. Okay, so we're not trying to finish this there. There's still quite a bit more. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay, he's not excused for excessive speech with the reasons stated above, right? So if it's all excessive, Right, so same thing with the laughing, right? If he's overcome with laughing, but again, right, it is not too much. So if he goes like that, okay, that is a very bit. Like, I don't know how to laugh. Like, go, like someone cannot control their laugh, and it comes out as a sound, but has no meaning to the sound. That is excused, and that is excused. All right, and for excessive speech, is excused to clear the throat, due to its difficulty to recite, what is obligatory. So you can clear your throat, right? If you have to recite Surah Fatiha, right, or the Tahiyah, right, because it's blocking your speech. If someone speaks in the form of Quran with the intention to give other people understanding or for no reason, then his prayer is invalidated. What does it mean by speaking in the form of Quran? That means they use Quranic verses to communicate to somebody else. Right? They're using Quranic verses to communicate with someone else. The moment you try to communicate with someone outside of your prayer becomes invalid. So, like for example, if the Imam does a mistake, you say Subhanallah, you have to niyat zikir. You cannot niyat to bring attention to the Imam. You must niyat zikir. If the Imam is reading Quran and the Imam makes a mistake, and you want to correct the Imam, you correct the Imam loudly, niyat Quran recitation. Don't niyat to communicate with the Imam. Okay? So you're not to communicate with anyone while you're in your prayer. Your time is up already. Let me finish this last parts. Prayer is not invalidated due to remembrance or dua, for not for the purpose of conversing. So again, you cannot be the bottom line is that you cannot be communicating with somebody else outside the prayer. Right, so it's not invalid if one mentions something with the intention of a good as freeing a slave or making a vow. Right, so if it is in Arabic lah, in his prayer, right, to do a good act in his prayer, if someone does so lah, to himself, right, to himself, and not to communicate with anybody else. Right, the prayer is not invalidated due to long. Let me just rephrase the entire thing. Right, and not invalidated due to long silence, even there is no excuse. That has a khilaf in this, because there is the opinion that it is invalidated. Right, if there's a long silence with no excuse, right, there should always be a zikr in your prayer. Wala bisukuti tawil bila. Let me read the entire thing here. وتبطل ذكر الدعاء ولا بسكوت طويل إلا في الفاتحة أو تشهد. تمام. Right, so except in a long pause, even if it's long, except for the case of Fatiha or in tashahud, there should not be any long pauses. Tamam. And then there's a lot more to cover. So inshallah, I think I will just stop here lah. Inshallah. And then next week, if there's time, I will go through. Otherwise, I will not test the last few parts of this section. That means page until page 94 lah. 95 also no lah. 94. Okay, until page 94. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.